Hello, I'm Bob Huntley, founder of Wise Counsel Wealth Management here in Georgetown, Texas. I'm going to talk to you today about required minimum distributions. There are some important provisions that have changed in the last 90 days. The Secure Act and the CARES Act both have features that really you need to be aware of, particularly if you're already at or near or over age 70. Let's talk first about the Secure Act. It was passed back at the end of last year, and it made the change of going from 70 and a half to 72. Now, that only applies to you if you turn 70 and a half after 2019. So if so, then the new 72 rule is going to apply to you. If you turn 70 and a half before or in 2019 or earlier, then you're still going to be under the old rules. Nothing changed there. Second thing that changed under the Secure Act is how beneficiaries can receive IRAs. Used to, we would do what we call stretch IRAs, where we could take distributions over their whole life. That's pretty much gone away now. Now, most beneficiaries are going to have to take that money out in 10 years. And so there's some important planning discussions that ought to be happening there, particularly for those of you who have large IRAs. As always, make sure you've got a named person on there. You don't want to have undesignated beneficiary situations. That's a whole nother discussion. Now let's talk about the CARES Act. The biggest thing the CARES Act has done in this area is it's waived all required minimum distributions for the year 2020. That's true for inherited IRAs. It's true for regular IRAs. If you have old 401k plans no longer working there, you don't have to take RMDs this year. Same thing for 403b plans, etc. So they're going to pretend like 2020 just never happened, and then we'll pick back up in 2021. I'll touch on a couple of planning thoughts about that in a bit. Another thing that we've gotten some questions about is, well, did any of this change the donations I've been doing to my church or to the charities I support directly from my IRAs? Those are called QCDs, or qualified charitable distributions. The answer is no, it has not changed that. You can still do that starting at age 70 and a half, not 72, 70 and a half. But in 2020, if you choose to give some dollars from your IRA to your charity, it's just not going to be offsetting an RMD because there's no required RMD, but it'll still be able to be effectively a fully deductible charitable gift, because it's going to be, if it's handled properly on your tax return, it'll be like you never took the money out. So that hasn't been changed. Now, one other thing I'll mention is 401k plans. The coronavirus problems that have been created for many people. If you're under 59 and a half and you were directly impacted by corona, let's say you were diagnosed with the virus, or maybe you were furloughed or lost your job, those kinds of things, then this act is going to allow you to take up to $100,000 out without the normal 10% penalty, number one. Number two, they'll let you choose. Do you want to record it as taxable income, all of it in 2020, or do you want to spread it out over 3 years? There's also some possible options for paying it back in. So there's a lot of planning to be considered there, and that's something that you should discuss with your advisors. So I'll wrap this up with just a couple of planning ideas. Number one, the simplest thing is just don't take your RMDs in 2020 if you don't need to. A lot of folks have it set up monthly. More often, people take it out at the end of the year. But if you don't contact your custodians or your advisor team and let them know you don't want to take it out, then it's just going to happen automatically. And so you really need to be proactive about that. Number two, think about Roth conversions. It's a great year in 2020 to think about converting dollars into a Roth plan for a couple of reasons. If you're already having to take RMDs, this is one year where you get a pass on that. And why does that matter? Well, you can't convert an RMD amount to a Roth. So, if you were normally taking out $50,000 for an RMD, none of that could have been converted to a Roth. Well, this year, you could take that same 50 out, even though you don't have to, and you could convert it to a Roth. So that's something to look at. Depends on your circumstances. But also, you have more control this year over what your total income is going to be. Sometimes that's important because it can throw you up into higher tax brackets. So again, a planning opportunity. And one last thing I'll leave you with, we're already through the first quarter of this year. If you have already taken your RMD for 2020, and if you did it less than 60 days ago, there is a rule, an IRA rollover rule, that allows you to roll it back into an IRA within that 60 days. So you could put it back in and kind of get a do-over on that money, but that has to be within the last 60 days. So some things for you to think about. We're always available to help with planning, but if you already have planners that you work with or somebody you look to for advice on these things, just don't be passive about it. Bring these things up with them. Have a conversation. There's some planning opportunities here. Check out our website if you want to learn more about us or about other resources. We've got tons of information available for you out there. We're doing webinars. We're doing all kinds of things. That's wisecounselwealth.com. Again, I'm Bob Huntley. Thanks for listening.